Well, hello everybody. Hi YouTube. This is part 3 of my little video series that I'm doing, and let me turn this little around. I'm calling this series from sketch to vector. And in this, I'm going to be taking. This is pretty much the outline of my little tutorial today. I'm going to show you guys how to take a sketch into Illustrator, how to trace it with the pen tool, and how to play around with your traced artwork with the gradient tool in order to explore light and color options. So overall, I'm going to be taking, you see the image in the background, I'm going to be taking this little image here. Let me make it a little bit bigger for you guys. This image here, and I'm going to be taking it into Adobe Illustrator and walk you guys through the steps of what I like to do with a little sketch and play in Illustrator in order to explore light and color. Okay, so let's get right to it. Turn these off real quick. Playing here with little Ecamm Live. So for step 1, I have taken a picture of my sketch, and I'm going to go over to my phone view right now. As you can see, here is my photo that I took, and I'm going to get on my phone real quick. And I'm going to now just airdrop it to my computer. It'll take me a second, and I love using airdrop. I don't know how many of you guys use airdrop, but it's super fast, super useful. So let's go back into this view real quick. Okay, so at this point I'm gonna head over into Illustrator. And hopefully today's audio is better. Yesterday was really bad, so I had to actually take that video down. So I'm going to now, within Illustrator, I'm going to bring in that image. I'm going to go File, Open, go look for that particular image that I just showed you. I just airdropped via my phone. And when you're playing within here and you're going to resize anything, you always want to hold the shift and then shift click, and it'll keep the aspect ratio looking pretty good for you guys. Okay, so here is my basic area. So like I talked about earlier, I'm going to go from how to take the sketch into Illustrator, which I just showed you, and now I'm going to show you guys how to trace it with the pen tool. Okay, so right now, as you can see, it's actually just like imported the JPEG, and what you can do at this point if you want is I'm going to save as an Illustrator file, and you can save that image wherever you want. So I'm going to call it Tigger Play and save it. I'm going to just click OK for now. So for this little step, this tutorial is just kind of like basically like a really simple little overview. It's kind of continues on to part 1 and part 2, but this is actually importing an image that I'm actually working on right now, and I'll show you guys how I've progressed through it. So for step 1, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, and I'm going to get started, and I'm going to take maybe this shape right here and trace it. So with the pen tool, there's all sorts of awesome pen tool tutorials on YouTube, and I'll probably do one that's a little more basic later on. But one thing about the pen tool is just don't give up. If you're new to it, eventually it'll become your best friend. So what I like to do is I tend to like decide what overall shapes I want to have in certain color blocks in a way. So you can see here I'm going to take this general shape, and next maybe I'll do this part, and this part, this part, this part. And once I do maybe a couple, I will show you guys how it's looking and how I'm playing with it. So I'm just going to start quickly tracing it, and you can zoom way in so you guys can see a little bit more. So I'm not making this perfect. I use Illustrator as kind of like a tool for exploring color options before I do a painting out of it. And I haven't done paintings for a while, but this is kind of like my way to get hopefully back into it. So hopefully the click isn't as loud as last time. Some of the other videos, it was so funny and loud, but I guess each time you go live, you learn something new. And eventually it would be fun to have, like, I just want to start doing more of these, talk about ideas, where I get inspiration, but it'd be great to have a little, oh, look, kind of messed it up. Up here, I'm just hitting Command Z every time. Let's say if you kind of mess up, Command Z goes back a few steps, or however many steps, in Illustrator goes back indefinitely. So I'm going to just kind of trace this general outline, and actually I want it to go like right around here. Let me see, actually. I'm still, yeah, I don't want to take that part. So I'm going to go up here, zoom back in. So for this part, if you have a sketch and you want to start tracing it, just like an experiment with it, I love to try to put many things into separate little areas, so then you have more fun and can explore the color options easier if everything's separated. If you just trace everything in one big clump, you don't have as much control with the colors, as I'm going to show you guys how to do. So there's part one, and let me change this to a little bit darker color here. Okay, because I'm going to go over here just to show you guys something. So with the pen tool, if you haven't used it, again, I think I'm going to do a little short tutorial eventually. So the basics of it is you click, and if you click, hold, and drag, you can see how that line, you can manipulate the line. Do all sorts of fun things. So what I've been doing with up here when I was showing you guys is I just click, and then I kind of like position it or see how I can kind of manipulate it to go with the line that I'm trying to trace. You can also do, you know, straight lines as well. And then right here you can see how it turns into a little box. That means that path is being closed. So within there, up here in the panel, this is the stroke, and if you click on here, it will switch that color over here to the background color. Okay, so I'm going to go back up here, and at this point I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to go into one of my favorite tools, which is our friendly gradient. And I'm also going to look for my swatches. And swatches, the swatches panel has so much cool stuff. One thing within the swatches panel that I love to use is the little library. Within the library, there's all sorts of cool colors and color options here. So within here, you can start playing with, let's say I want that there. You can click and drag cool colors in there. And I'm going to just now switch this so you can start seeing here. And just start playing with everything within here. So when it comes to the gradient panel here, let me take some of these out. It's kind of getting a little messy. So you can do all sorts of things and have all sorts of control. You can just use this panel if you want. Let me go over here. Or you can click on this, click on the tool and click right here. Let me move this one around a little bit and zoom out a little bit. So within here, there you go. Sorry, I was just trying to do one little quick thing. Let me turn this part off real quick and click on there. There we go. It was actually going to the stroke and not showing what I wanted to show you guys. So you can play with the gradients within this panel, or if you click on here, you have the same control right here. So you can see all sorts of fun things within there. You can click on that black little dot, click and drag it, so you can position this any way you want. And then you can also hover over, let's see, come on. No, it's not wanting me to do it. Sometimes it's, there you go. So if you hover over here, see how it turns into that little arrow, you can adjust it and do all sorts of fun things. It's just like, it's kind of fun to feel like you have the control directly on here, but you have the exact same type of control within here, and you can adjust the angles of it with this little panel as well. But I personally like to, it's fun to play within here and just see what kind of color combinations you want. So maybe now I'll start dragging some of these colors in here, see what kind of cool effects I can get. Okay, so what I tend to do is I start tracing certain sections just like this, and I'm going to just do one other, maybe I'll do the eyeball section real quick. I'm going to zoom way in to Mr. Tiggs, my little kitty cat, if you can tell it's a cat. I can, but most people just think I'm weird. So I'm going to start tracing the outline of this eye area. And as you can see, when I start doing that, that gradient color is filling it. And one thing I like to do is you click on here, and if you don't see this panel up here, you can just go Window Control, so you can turn that off and on. But I always like to have the control panel up. Makes it really useful. And I'm going to lower the opacity a little bit so you can kind of see what's going on in the background. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So hopefully you guys are getting the gist of what I tend to do with this. So all of these color options are a lot of fun. So let me show you one other quick thing that you can do that's kind of fun. I'm going to do a new color swatch, brown. So as you can see now, I've created that little color combination that I did. Now if I want to create a new area right here, I can click on here and it has that gradient fill. So you can explore with all the gradients that you do, and then you can save it in your swatches panel and then apply it wherever you like. So now I'm going to head over to the actual, this image that I've been working on and the actual file that I've been playing with. Let me zoom out. So I'll zoom in now into this little guy. So I've just been playing. I love kind of these weird rainbow-esque kind of colors, and you can kind of see like from this, you know, me starting to go over the shapes, and I tend to like kind of analyze the little sketch and see which areas I want it to be like a part of a larger group. So for example, right here, let me go back to let me bring my layers panel. Sorry, I tend to be like panel crazy, and I tend to move shit that's into really kind of confusing little areas. So as you can see here, I have kind of like two little areas where I've put stuff. So I'm going to unlock it to show you guys. So this is this area right here is similar to the area that I traced right here. So I'll go within here and then, you know, look at this little area right here. So this whole color section, let's say I wanted to play with that right now. So you can tell I still have a ways to go, but it's really fun to start like playing with it. And then once you have the whole image traced, then you can start like doing all sorts of fun things. So right now I'm going to see this color swatch. Yeah, that's already there. But the one thing that, you know, you might get, like, say you find a really cool color combination and you like it and you don't want to tweak it out, because within here I'm going to start messing with it like I did in the other little file. You can always just remember that you can create a new color, new swatch, and save the presets for that or the color combinations that you've done. So let me just play with this one just to show you guys what I'm going to do. So within here, you can do all sorts of fun things. Look at that kind of fun, kind of experimenting and control you can do. And I'm going to go here. You can get so many cool little effects. Play with how this is arranged, move it up and down. I don't know if you think that's cool, but I think it's fun. You can just play in here for hours on end. I'm easily entertained, which is, I think, a good skill to have sometimes. Okay, so anyway, let me turn this off. Somebody was maybe going to call. I don't want to call right now, but I don't know. Look how cool this is. Once you have like your image kind of like little sections sussed out, let's see within here too. Let me click on here so you guys can see. It gets really fun to kind of like, let me zoom in. And Illustrator is just fun. You can totally do this also in Photoshop, but within here the control is so cool. And again, infinite resolution. It's a vector. Look at all sorts of cool fun things you can do. So let me drag. Woo. I don't know if you guys have ever, you know, played with this tool like this, but it's really fun, super addictive. And again, when you're doing, let's say you're gonna make this into a painting, and you're still not sure of the color combinations, you can take all sorts of designs like this, and I'm gonna create a new little artboard and show you what you can do. So you can do all sorts of versions with it, and you can even bring this now into Photoshop and then tweak with like the hue and saturation, get all sorts of weird, cool things. There's so many ways to play and figure out what you actually want to do your final product, or how you want to paint it, or you don't even have to paint it, but it's kind of fun to try to replicate a digital illustration in actual acrylic or oil, whatever you choose. So let me go over here. Thanks again to the one person who's watching. Hopefully the sound isn't as horrific as it was yesterday. I will soon find out when I actually end the video and watch it. I'm gonna check real quick one thing. I have my other computer here set up. I'm gonna see if it's actually, let me see if I actually see that I've gone live with it here. Maybe I'm not live. Oh, there I am. Woo. There you go. I'm going to test out and see if I can actually comment within here. Maybe have the comments turned off. I don't know if I even have a comment section turned on. I'm trying to play with it because within oh, there it is. I'm going to say something just to see if it shows up. Howdy. There you go. So now I'm going to go into my Ecamm Lab and see if I can highlight my own comment. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Ooh, it worked. There I am. That's pretty cool. So you can click on, and within Ecamm Lab, I can click on Add to Broadcast, and it brings me in. It's pretty cool. I've never done that before. Anyhow, okay, I'll stop rambling now and show you what I wanted to show you. So within here, I can select this whole area, and I'm gonna make sure, you wanna make sure things are unlocked or it won't copy everything that you want. So you can, you know, select the whole area, copy, paste, and then have like multiple versions. And the awesome thing about when you're playing within Illustrator, you can do all sorts of artboards. So it's kind of like the infinitely free drawing pad or sketchbook. Like you can have as many pages as you want, play within here, do all sorts of versions. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Adobe XD, which is super fun to play with too for design stuff. So now I can have two versions and then kind of compare and see which one I like, which one I don't like. So within here, maybe I'll like, you know, switch this around, kind of like really start messing with like the darks and the lights, see how when I play with those effects, how it impacts my actual, the look of the design. It kind of looks cool now. This looks all weird and kind of like a, almost like a landscape, which I think a lot of my sketches look like weird fractal landscapes with creatures that only I can see sometimes. But the fun thing to do eventually, you know, I can turn off the, let me go back on here and show you guys within here. Let me see if I can actually click on it. Find the background. There it is. So eventually, you know, you can turn off that background. You can get all sorts of cool stuff. As you can see, I love 80s retro, like poppy kind of weird color scheme. So this kind of reminds me of that. So that is without that trace element. You can do all sorts of really fun, funky things. But that would be kind of hard to paint, but it would be a fun challenge, I think, if you guys haven't done that kind of thing. So I still have a long ways to go on here, but hopefully this little clip gave you an idea of what's fun to do and how you can take your sketches, bring them into Illustrator, play around with a pen tool, and play around with color schemes. So, and then you can decide maybe if you're going to do a painting, which color scheme is your favorite. So before I head out, I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial, and please consider subscribing. I'm going to be doing more tutorials like this, possibly some more traditional art ones, which I've done in the past. But I love live stream because it's just fun and freeform, and if not, then I tend to not do anything. But so this is kind of a fun way to just be playful and show you guys hopefully some tips, and if you guys have ideas of what you want me to cover, I would love to hear from you guys. So before I go, I have a little question of the day. And I would love to hear from you guys in the comments below. Do you start your sketches on paper or on the computer? I love sketchbooks. I tend to start a lot of them in my giant piles of sketchbooks scattered all over my house. And then I like to scan them in and do all sorts of fun things like this. There's like so many cool little options that you can do by mixing the two mediums. I love mixed media. For 20 years I taught silkscreen printing, and I don't have a studio now, but eventually I will again, and I could make a silkscreen out of this, which would be super fun. Anyway, so Consider subscribing, like and subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And again, if you have time, I would love to hear from you, your answer to my question of the day. Do you start sketches on paper or on the computer? Okay, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your Saturday, and hope you get to go outside and play. Bye.